And then to facilitate and accelerate the program, I led recruitment effort and onboarding to facilitators to lead the courses. I created a web page, et cetera, et cetera. So finally, we come to the result portion. So I mentioned that the program launched I mentioned the time and date, and then I began quantifying. So I said it has seen huge growth starting from 40 participants and expanding to 300 participants, representing a 650 increase. Our website's traffic surged up by 40%. Et cetera, until the end of the paragraph. So this is a very short way just showing you how to use the STAR method, and you will be using for each of your 4 essays. So why is STAR very effective for Chevening? So aside from the fact that they actually ask you to use the STAR method on the website, it helps you structure your experiences in a very salient and an easy to follow way. It also highlights what you have done. A lot of applicants, unfortunately, fall into the pitfall of being very vague in their essays or going from one point to another. And STAR forces you to be very specific, which is very essential because remember, you only have 500 words to make an impression. And number 2 is that the panelists and the reading committees want to see clear and concise examples of your leadership if you're networking. So the STAR method helps you provide, step-by-step account, as we had seen in the example, and it not only showcases what you did, but it also shows tangible results, which is what we want, which makes your essay a lot more easier to read. It also makes it very compelling and impactful. So I'm going to give you some practical tips for using the STAR method in your essays. A lot of people feel like they need to cram like 3 or 4 examples into their essays. Do not feel compelled to do that. Focus on 1 detailed example or 2 examples. Personally, I have used 2. I would not recommend that you use more than 2 because the more you write, the more mistakes you're going to make and the less details that you're going to be providing. And number 2 is be very concise, but also be thorough. So make sure that each step of the STAR is present in your essays. You have the situation, you have the task, you have the action, you have the result. Also, use active verbs such as I led, I initiated, I did, I created. This is not the time for you to be humble, but also don't brag. You just need to showcase your achievements so that the reading committee could, choose your essays for you to move to the interview stage. So a little bit of housekeeping. Can you use examples? I feel like a lot of applicants ask this. Can you use their examples from their time at university? You can use examples using the STAR method from your time at university, but remember that Chevening is a scholarship that targets working professionals. So it's better to use examples from your career or your volunteer time because it shows your interaction with the real world as well as its impact and responsibility. But if you have any significant achievements during your university years, then you could use that. And then this is also very important. A lot of people ask, do I need to add numbers in the result portion of the STAR method? So you do not need quantitative hard numbers, but measurable results like percentages and numbers are very impressive. You can also focus on qualitative income, such as how did this experience contribute to your personal or professional development? How did it increase your team efficiency? Did you get any positive feedback from, leadership or your colleagues? So just make sure that the outcome demonstrates a meaningful impact on the real world. That is very important. If you have numbers, add them. And this is all I'm going to say. If you have any questions or inquiries later on that we were not able to cover during this session, then please reach out to me via email. I will be very happy to answer once I have the time. And thank you once more to Blessing for having me here. I will be staying till the end of the session to help answer any questions that the applicants might have. And best of luck.
Thank you so much, Aya. And you know, if not that I've gotten the scholarship, seriously, there are some new things I just got and I'm like, wow. I love the fact that you were able to break it down, to the understanding of the very, lay person. And I love the fact that you had to, put in so much effort to put that into presentation. Thank you so much. And also, there's something I picked from um your session now is the fact that you stressed on the need for people to mention names and organizations. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I see that Chevening obviously likes the fact that if you really interacted with people, they want to know if these are real people, or if you interacted with institutions, they want to know if these are real institutions. And thank you so much for stressing that. And another point that I really got is the fact that you said, um, applicants should be concise and also be thorough. So not beating about the bush because you just have only 500 words to prove, your points, and so you don't really have the whole world. And I think the STAR method is more like a lifesaver because it's going to help you keep you in check and also help you deliver what you're expected to deliver. And I love the fact that you also indicated that people should use active verb like you initiated or you did, because sometimes we are forced to use we as per you and your team, because obviously no one works alone. When it comes to generating impact, you definitely work with a team or a group of people. So sometimes we forget and we go, oh, we went to this, we initiated that. So I hope that you guys are learning. Chevening knows that you worked with a group. Chevening knows that you work with some people, but they are more interested in the role that you played in that group. So always remember to state your role and what you did that brought about the outcome that you guys had. So don't forget that. So the next speaker is Pamela Victor. So Pamela is going to be speaking about having the right mindset for your Chevening application. I think mindset is very important. I know Pamela has a lot to share. So please ensure to take notes because it's going to be very helpful. Pamela, the floor is yours now. Thank you for joining the call.
Hi, hello. My name is Pamela Victor Bitamno. I'm a Chevening scholar and currently studying cyber law at Northern University. And thank you so much, Blessing, for having me. Okay, so basically, I'm going to like share my experience and just like talk about mindset. So I know like most people haven't even started their applications yet, like you've not even started anything. For some people here, this might be the first time you're hearing about Chevening. For some, you must have heard about Chevening, but you don't even know how to just get started. Like you don't know how you can get yourself to apply. So I'm going to be speaking specifically about these people. Actually, for me, I applied for Chevening hours to the deadline because I couldn't get my mind right. And that was why, like, I specifically said I was going to talk about the mindset, like getting your mind right before the application. So, what happened was that there was a lot of self doubt, and there was this feeling of not being very, not having that capacity to be able to get yourself to do this thing. Now, I used to say this, not every scholarship is for you. And you have to like find out the scholarships that are basically for you. If you're a leader, Chevening is the right scholarship for you. How do you find out the scholarship that is for you? You have to go through like the previous speaker said, you have to go through the scholarship requirements to really know if that scholarship is the adequate scholarship for you. And then once you've gotten that sorted out, now you now have to check yourself and say, okay, is this actually the scholarship for me? Once you figure that out, then you now have to work on your mind to start applying for it. If you know that Chevening is the scholarship for you, please don't let anything, don't let your mind, don't let yourself stop you from achieving that thing that you're supposed to do, that thing that you're supposed to get. Like I used to have a lot of anxiety problems, that it was taking a bold step was like very difficult because of the anxieties that I used to have. So yeah. Okay, so like I was saying, you need to tell yourself that, see, I've got this is the right scholarship for me, and I'm going to give it your best shot. Another thing I'm going to emphasize on, someone reached out to me and was talking about sharing my essays. You have to write your essay like by yourself. You have to, because this is like, if you are in that, if you have to lie about anything, if you have to lie about your essays, if you have to tell a lie, then I don't think Chevening is for you, because it has to do with what you're doing, the impact that you're making. So, how do you come up with those stories to tell people or to make them believe that, okay, you're doing this when you're not doing that? No. So, you really have to like work on your mind. You have to get in touch with your truest self. You have to understand why you're applying for Chevening. Why you're applying for Chevening? What do you aim to achieve with Chevening? Why must you apply for Chevening out of all those other scholarships? You have to answer those questions. So you have to also realize that if you are like, if you are applying for it and you're giving it the best shot, then okay, I think the message is on the, yeah. So if you're giving it the best shot, sorry, if you're giving it the best shot, then don't entertain self doubt. Don't entertain self doubt. Stop stop doubting yourself and just go with it. I'm sorry, like the messages on this thing are really. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we
Okay.
can.
Okay. Okay. So, like I was saying, don't entertain self doubt. You have to tell yourself that, see, I can do this. I am a Chevening scholar. Like I started telling myself I was a Chevening scholar even before I even got Chevening. I'll wake up in the morning and I'll tell myself that, see, I'm a Chevening scholar. Chevening was the first scholarship I applied for, and it was the only scholarship I've ever applied for. Like it was the first and the only scholarship I've ever applied for. So like, you telling yourself that, see, I've got this, I can do this, I'm not alone, I God is with me, God is going to see me through. Like even when the scholarship board, they are reviewing my application, my name is going to be there, my name is going to be mentioned. You have to believe in yourself. You really, really have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in what you're doing. You have to believe in the impact that you're making. So if you tell lies, there's going to be some sort of disconnect. So you have to really believe in the value that you are bringing. It's not something that you have to be. If you believe in the value that you're bringing, Chevening is supposed to look for you, not the other way around. Chevening is supposed to look for you because you have something to give. You have a value that you're bringing to the table. You have something to impact. Even when you go for interviews, like the interview is supposed to be like a two-way process. It's not just supposed to be them interviewing you. So you're also interviewing them because of that confidence that you have. So if you don't have the right mindset, it's really going to affect you. During my interviewers later on, I saw them during the orientation, one of them during the orientation, and it was like, how, Pamela, I was looking for you. I was so glad to see that you made it. Like I was just looking for you. Like, I'm so happy to see that you made it, because that day during the interview was as if you just came to gist with us. You were just here to tell us what you are doing, and you don't even care. You just want to tell us, this is what I've done, this is what I've done, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want to do, this is how I want to help you guys, this is how I want. So if you don't believe in the value that you're bringing to the table, there's going to be issues. There's going to be issues from your application. There's going to be issues even during the interviews. So you really have to believe in the value that you're bringing. Believe in the problem that you're solving. What problem are you solving? What problem have you been solving before? What problem are you currently solving? What problem do you aim at solving in the future? I heard one of our colleagues said in the previous section that I attended that Chevening is for leaders. And one way to know leaders is through their mindset. So when they are reading your application essays, they are not just looking at your application essays. Oh, your story is very interesting, is very captivating. Oh my gosh, the words, the language, everything is so accurate. They are looking at your mindset, and your mindset can be revealed in those essays that you're writing. Your mindset can be revealed in a lot of things, even during your interview. Leaders are confident people. Your essay can show if you're a confident person. Your essay should be able to tell if you're a resilient person. Your essay should be able to tell if you're a goal-getter. Your essay should be able to tell the impact that you have made, the impact that you're making. Your essay should be able to tell the value that you're bringing to the table. So people should be able to read through all these things in your mindset. So if you don't get your mind right by first believing in yourself, believing in the value that you're bringing to the table, believing that you have a voice. Even if everybody has spoken, you still have something to say. Even if they've read thousands of people's, like thousands of essays from different people across the globe, you still have something different to say. Even if everybody has said the same thing, you have something to say that is in a different perspective, even if you're all saying the same thing. So you have to believe in your own uniqueness, and you also have to believe in the value that you're bringing to the table, and also the impact that you're about to make. And then how everything in life can be achieved by communication. Now someone shared a story with me that I'm also going to share with you. So someone told me that in the story, a man wanted to his son.
Hi, Pamela, we can't hear you. It seems you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Sorry, I think you muted me. I don't know.
Are you
Oh,
serious?
yeah, I thought I had spent a lot of time. Okay, just let me know when my time is up. So someone shared a story with me about a man that wanted his son to get married to Bill Gates' daughter. So this man told his son that, see, I want you to get married to Bill Gates' daughter. I found a wife for you. He started by saying this, that I found a wife for you, and that woman, I would like you to get married to her. The son is like, oh daddy, how would you find a wife for me? I'm old enough to look for a wife for myself. He say, not until you know who your wife is going to be. And he's like, who is she? The man is like, "Hey, she's the daughter of Bill Gates." And the boy is excited. He's like, wow, yes, I think I would accept that. So this man goes to Bill Gates, and he tells Bill Gates that I would okay, he goes to another person that is the manager of the head of the World Bank, and he's telling him that I hear that you want to choose a vice president for World Bank. Okay, okay. Okay, yeah. So he went ahead and is like, okay, I want you to choose someone that is the son-in-law of Bill Gates to get to be the vice president of World Bank. Is going to do your bank a lot of favor. And the man accepts. He goes back to Bill Gates and is like, your I would like you to I would like someone is I would like you to give your daughter to the vice president of World Bank. I think he's interested in your daughter. And Bill Gates is like, wow, this is lovely. So everything you want is in the power of how you communicate and negotiate. So Chevening is possible. how do you portray yourself in the light that people are willing to invest a lot of money in you to be able to actualize your potentials and also make an impact in the world? The ball is in your court. So if you have the right mindset and you're able to think of the way out, you can achieve it. And with God, all things are possible. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Pamela. I love the fact that you are sharing your own insights from a very different perspective. I think this is really new, and I'm sure it's really going to help some people prepare themselves well while they are writing their essays and then doing the application. About mindsets, I could still recall, I think 2 years ago during the Queen's birthday, I was privileged to attend, the birthday celebration at the British High Commission Abuja. And I didn't know, I don't know how I got there, but you had more Chevening alumni at, in that meeting. And I think I was the only person that was very abstract. I was not an alumni. I was just maybe a friend of the environment. And then I attended. So there was supposed to be a photo section, and that photo section was for Chevening alumni. So guess what I did? I went and joined them and I took the picture. And they were like, oh, but I saw, and they were all shocked and surprised that I was joining them. So I had to respond and I told them, like, that's because I'm preparing myself to be a chef now. The next time you see me, I'm going to be a chef now. So I had to save the picture. And they were like, oh, wow, that's nice. And funny enough, when I got the scholarship, I went back to that picture. I picked the picture and I posted it and I was like, the last time I took this picture, I was not a Chevna, but I had hopes and I believed in myself. And I told these people, the alumni now, that some of them are now my friends. I'm like, the next time you hear from me, I'm going to be a Chevening scholar. And guess what? So I think right mindset really helps because after that, for the next 2 years, I sat down and I was preparing myself. And the next time I picked my pen and I started applying, I knew and I had that boldness and courage and confidence that I knew that this time I was going to get it. And I love the fact that you also mentioned that people should know why they are applying for the Chevening scholarship. They shouldn't see it as one of those scholarships, to travel to the UK and then do a course, that they should know if they are really meant for the Chevening scholarship. Yeah, like for me personally, since I started applying for scholarships, I don't think I've applied for anyone else apart from Chevening. Also, I'm not saying you should not apply for others. It's just that I fell in love with Chevening. I've been following the stories, I've been seeing the scholars. So there's this love that comes with, all of these kind of things. So sometimes people will say, oh, do this, don't worry, I'll help you apply for this other one, you study in Germany. And I'm like, no, if it's not Germany, I'm not going, I'll wait for the next day. I'm not saying you should not apply for others, but I'm saying you should generate love. Even if you apply for 3 or 4, you need to generate that love from the inside. There's something love does, it opens ways. I don't know how, but even God self sees that, no, this person has really fallen in love with this thing. Let me just, step in. So you shouldn't just treat it like any other essay. If you really want to get the Chevening scholarship, you have to fall in love with Chevening. You have to fall in love with everything about Chevening. You have to fall in love with the scholars. You have to fall in love with the experience. Go to the side, look at what they are doing, the things they are showing you, smile and tell yourself, I'll be the next person to be there. In that way, you generate positive energy and everything around you begin to work for your favor. Sometimes it's not even really about the essay, it's about the people who are on your booklets, and they're like, there's a spirit that comes from this person. I may not have been able to get the actual thing in terms of perfection, but I can tell that this person is really meant for this. And they give it to you because they're the ones who make the decision. They determine which point you're going to have. Like somebody advised me and say, it's not about how you feel, it's about how they feel about you. So with that joy and passion and love, you'll be able to generate that fire even in the hearts of your readers or even your panelists when you're eventually selected for the interview. Thank you so much, Pamela, for sharing that. So our next speaker will be Abel Magomu. So Abel will be sharing with us. Now we are diving into the essays proper because that's the main what do you call it now? Onions of Germany. So Abel Magomu is going to set the sail. Now that we understand that we need to have the right mindset, we need to prepare ourselves. So it's time to write the essays. So Abel will share with us, steps on how to go through with the leadership and networking essays. And I'm sure he has so much to share. Welcome on board, Abel. The floor is yours.
We just pop this on. Hello. Hi, Blessing. Are you hearing me? Just to check.
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Just share this screen quickly and then we'll get started. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Blessing, can you confirm that you're able to see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. Thank you, Blessing, for the introduction and the opportunity to be part of this panel. And thank you to the previous presenters, Pamela and Aya. Your insights are quite helpful. My name is Abel Magomu. I'm from Uganda. And I am a Chevening Scholar 2024-2025. Currently, I'm at Loughborough University doing, what was that?
Let me see if I can mute the person. Someone mistakenly turned on their mic.
I'm at Loughborough University. Oh, sorry. Kindly mute. Yeah, and I'm doing my master's in biomedical engineering. So I'll basically be talking about the leadership and influence essay, but Blessing requested me to throw a few hints about the networking essay. So I'll do that towards the end of this presentation to be a quick one. So like Blessing said, the main part of the Chevening scholarship application are the 4 essays. However, we should not take note that the other parts of the application are also actually quite important as well, because it will be disappointing if you crafted all your essays very well, all the 4 essays very well, and then you make a small error in your preliminary parts of the application. You put the wrong, I don't know, wrong email address, wrong age, things like that. So I understand that our audience right now is made up of people at different stages of the application process. I know there is someone who has just heard about the Chevening application today. There's someone who has been working on it since the year began. There's someone who has applied 3 other times before. So we are at different levels, but we should all, work towards this. Uh, I I want to assume that at this point we have all done the preliminary parts of the application, the eligibility tests, the filling the working hours that they need, the 2,800 hours, researching the universities you want to apply to, using the course finder, all those preliminary details. I'm assuming that we have worked on that. So I'll dive right into the leadership and influence essay. Just start with a small disclaimer, just to let you know that whatever we're discussing in this webinar is just our experience and, just sharing our feedback. It's nothing that we haven't been sent by the FCDO or Chevening to tell you guys what you have to do. We're just sharing with you our experience and then also information that is out there on the website. So this should be our discussion points tonight that we shall go through. I like to normally say the leadership and influence essay is the most important essay because it is the first essay that the reader gets to read, so it sets the pace for whether they'll go into your other essays excited, already disappointed, so the opening to your essays is the leadership essay. So give it your best. Now, I know we should be knowing the leadership question already. It's normally Chevening is looking for individuals who will be future leaders or influencers in their home countries. Explain how you meet this requirement using clear examples of your own leadership and influence skills to support your answers. Take note of the word limit. They need only a minimum of 100 and a maximum of 500. Don't go beyond the word limit. Now, I've been approached by quite a number of applicants, and normally their worry is, how do I approach the leadership SC? I've never taken up any leadership roles in my career, and that's normally their worry. And I tell them, look out, it's written here, Chevening is not solely about the positions you've occupied, in your career. Yes, if you've occupied some big positions, that's okay. But if you haven't, then you don't need to worry. Even the leadership examples that Chevening is looking for are not, I've been the president, I've been the vice president of this, and they're looking at what have you done. So that's why I say customize the leadership definition to your career theme, and do not state the dictionary definition. In other words, what is leadership according to you? So in the leadership essay, like we shall talk about it later on, it is divided into different sections. So in the introduction, you are required to define what leadership means to you, not what leadership is according to the Oxford Dictionary or whichever dictionary you're using, but what does leadership mean to you? And then just a hint that leadership means simply bringing people together in pursuit of a common cause, developing a plan to achieve it, and then staying with the goal staying with it until you achieve the goal. Yeah, so even if you haven't taken up any leadership roles, it's okay. You can always find examples as we shall be going talking about them in the next stages of the application. So these are just a few hints from what the reading committee, the feedback they gave. These are available on the website. You can go through and read through. Just I talked about the STAR approach. I will not dive into that. It is the most important thing when writing these essays, especially the leadership and the networking essay. Make sure you use the STAR approach. As I said, she said use I instead of we. I will not talk about that anymore. And then I will assume that we know we are looking for paragraphs, not just bullet points of this is my first example. It's a story. You're telling a story about your life, about your career. So use paragraphs. And then you proofread your work. Silly mistakes will not make a good first impression. If the reader is opening your essay and the first thing they're looking at is a grammatic error, that doesn't work well for you. And when demonstrating your leadership skills, try to draw on recent examples from your professional experience. I like to tell people, let there be a flow in your examples. Don't just base all your examples in the work you did back then. I said, yes, you can use examples from your university education. That's all right. Let that be your first example. And then let your second example be in your professional experience, the work you're doing right now. Don't base all your examples in the things you did while back in high school. That's what the reading committee said. So, and this is what I was talking about. Some applicants assume occupying a position is enough. Chevening is looking for leadership according to problem solving, not I took up this position as the president of this association. What did you do with the position? And then this is just saying many applicants were able to clearly define the concept of leadership, but failed to customize it to themselves. That's what I was talking about before. Now, the essay structure is divided into three parts. We shall have the introduction, then we shall have the main body, and then the conclusion. That's what you'll do for all your essays, but mainly the leadership and then the networking essay. So the introduction is the most important because it sets space for the rest of your essay. It should be precise and straight to the point. So it has 3 to 4 lines that are well crafted. And in those lines, you're defining what leadership means to you. and then you're giving a general picture of what you're going to be talking about. Which kind of examples are you talking about? What is the theme of your essay going to be? You know, you're telling the reader, get ready. This is what I have prepared for you in the next parts of my essay. And then what, in summary, is the introduction is what are you going to discuss throughout your essay. Then when we come to the main body, like I mentioned, don't give so many examples, but again, don't just give one example, you know, give not so many that they bore the reader, but then they should be adequate. So two, or to the extreme of three, you know, but two examples should be adequate, but two well-explained examples using the STAR approach, like I explained to you guys. So examples should be drawn from your professional leadership experience, internships, volunteer work, seminars and workshops, among others, and then make sure you use the STAR approach. That's what the main body should uh, be made of. I, I prepared to give you an example, but since I gave you, I think that's all right. Uh, and then in the conclusion, just like the introduction, the conclusion should be also precise and concise, straight to the point, 3 to 4 lines that are well thought. So in the conclusion, you're trying to tell the reader, after all this leadership experience that I've told you, these are the lessons I've learned, you know, and from these experiences, these are the skills that I've gained. This is what makes me an asset to Chevening. You're applying to Chevening, you want them to support your education. Education here is expensive. They're paying quite a lot of pounds for you to study here. But why should they do that? You know? So tell them how the leadership skills make you an asset to the Chevening alumni. And then you tell them what your leadership aspirations are. Why, if you've achieved everything as a leader, then why are you looking out for Chevening? So it means you haven't, you've achieved something, you're somewhere in your leadership life, but you aspire to do more. So that's what you include in the stage of the conclusion. And also, it is very important to mention how Chevening falls into your leadership career goals. So how will the scholarship opportunities offered by the award nurture you as a leader? I think if I can just uh, give you an example, a small example, let me see. Okay, something like with these leadership qualities and potential, I am confident that I'll be resourceful. I'll be a resourceful addition to the Chevening community, committed to nurturing global leaders, influencers, and decision makers. Winning the Chevening scholarship will give me a chance to be mentored by experienced leaders worldwide, which will foster and enhance my leadership skills and make it possible for me to further implement them in developing a quality and self-sustaining healthcare system upon returning to Uganda as a Chevening ambassador. You know, this is an example from my conclusion because I'm in the healthcare technology sector. That's why I did mention my theme in the conclusion, a self-sustaining healthcare technology sector. You know, so that's about your conclusion. Other points that you should note, Pamela talked about putting yourself in the right mindset. That involves having sessions of self-reflection. Some of the things you did probably while at campus, but you didn't know you need to apply for a scholarship at some point. So you're doing leadership example things, but you didn't know they are what they are. So you need to sit down and think, what have I done in my life that could qualify as a leadership example, you know? Have those sessions where you just have yourself, a pen and a paper, and you note down those points. And then note down ideas as they come. Don't say, I'll write later. No, write immediately. And then have an application friend or friends. I used this very well while I was applying. It's important to go through your essays with friends as you and colleagues as you apply. They point out things that you may not be able to see for yourself, you know. And be chronological with your examples. What I mean is you should have coherence in your essays. One paragraph should lead to the next. There shouldn't be, kind of, you don't have these jointed paragraphs that this first paragraph is so different from the next. That's why I said you should have a theme. Let your first paragraph not talk about, a leadership example in education, and then your second example is talking about a leadership example in medicine. You should have one theme in your essay, and then avoid cliches. I've always wanted to be a leader, so what? Those things of Abraham Lincoln once said this and that. If you don't use them well, then they're just boring. There are strong words that you should include in your essays that communicate leadership. Words like, I took an initiative of doing this. I approached the president of this association to propose this idea. I lobbied for this. I mobilized a few colleagues to do this. I coordinated, I took this initiative. I influenced, I engaged, I advocated for, such words communicate leadership, Then some use the star approach. We've talked about that. Another important point is do not use too much technical terms. Your goal here is to communicate to the reader of these essays. You're not trying to impress them that I know a lot of English. You're just trying to communicate your story, communicate your ideas. So don't use very technical terms. Don't go to the dictionary and say, oh, what's I had a synonym for this term? So they feel like I know better English. That's not what they're looking for. Yeah, so please write your own story and do not lie. Do not ask someone to write your essays for you. Don't ask us to share our essays. It's not going to help you at all. That's what I was talking about. There are a few tools you could use. Uh, Watch videos, they're out there, attend these sessions, use Grammarly, Quillboard to, polish your essays, and then a few books that you can read about leadership. Now, briefly about networking, I didn't prepare anything on this, but I was asked to talk about it briefly. So the leadership and networking essay are quite similar. So remember that in both these essays, we use the STAR approach. The way I talked about them, I'll not go into that. Now, leadership, they're looking at in which situation did you see, in which situation in your society or community did you see a gap that no one was looking to tackle, and you came up with a solution that helped everyone? That's leadership. Now, in networking, they're looking at how do you make connections? How do you make networks? How do you sustain them? And how are you able to exploit these networks for the good of your society? That's the difference between leadership and networking essays. They are quite similar. Actually, most applicants fail to distinguish between which example applies for leadership and which example applies for networking. So in networking, you're looking at how did you make a network? How did you make a connection? How did you make, that connection that is going to help you solve a problem? And then how did you sustain it, And then later on, how did you leverage it to solve a societal issue? Using a STAR approach, of course. So the networks that we use, these are networks that we have from conferences that we have attended, workshops, seminars, and the question is, how did you make those networks? How did you sustain them? And how did you use them to solve a societal problem? That's the main difference between leadership and networking. And remember to use the STAR approach. They're all divided into the same essay structure. The networking essay will also have an introduction, a main body, and a conclusion, same things that I've been talking about under the leadership. And make sure you show the reader how Chevening is important in your network. networking essay. I think that will be it from me. Be ready to answer any questions that come up later on. Otherwise, thank you, Blessing. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Abel. That was really, really insightful. Thank you also for sharing a bit some points in networking. Something that really struck me in your presentation was the 100 minimum, 500 maximum. It just reminded me when someone also mentioned that, because people hear 100 minimum, they want to write 150 words. So maybe I could just use this opportunity to add, if you're hearing minimum and maximum, your essay should be a bit close to maximum, not close to minimum. If you're writing 150 words, the readers will assume probably you do not have, well, it could work. I mean, let me not, let me say we are not representing Chevening here, but most times it's safer to be closer to the maximum end because it assumes you have, at least the reader knows you have so much to write about. But imagine the reader seeing a quarter of a page and they'll be like, maybe this person doesn't have much leadership experience or the person is not, so it does not reduce your points because they are looking at grading you, and so that you don't miss your grade, be close to the maximum, maybe 400 and above, maybe 300 and something, but 100, 150 is a risk. Yeah, that's what I wanted to point out. And then I love the fact that Abel, you also mentioned about not using cliches, and I think that's the reason why most times when people write essays and they pass it through plagiarism tests, they are getting like 70%. It's not necessarily like they copied from someone, but because you know how you've been reading, you know, essays from other Cheveners over the years, and there are some clause and some words and some phrases that are repeated. So you would automatically want to use them because you've seen them repeat itself. So, the AI or plagiarism tool may want to consider that plagiarism because imagine maybe you're someone who has this what do you call it, retentive memory. So I could probably be reading people's essays, but I don't know that I'm catching, the write-up and the sense. Imagine like this person's essay now, we are in the same field, and I'm trying to portray or convey almost the same message that the person is conveying. I may unconsciously, pick words or pick the structure of the person's essay and I begin to write. It's not necessarily that I copied from someone. I'm actually writing from my head. And I think that's the reason why, people get to complain about, oh, I didn't copy from anybody. I did not pick essays from anywhere, but my plagiarism this is showing 70%. I think that's the more reason why you should have your own concepts to writing the essays, and it gives you that what do you call it? Now that word has left my head, but it makes you very unique. And then you get to stand out, and then the readers are like, oh, we've been reading, same concept, that this really looks different. One mistake I made when I was writing my essays, I didn't even know if there was a plagiarism. Okay, I knew that there were plagiarism checkers, but I just felt, oh, since I don't copy from anybody, why do I have to use a plagiarism checker? So I submitted my essays blind like that. Thank God I was selected. But it's good that you pass it through plagiarism checkers, so you know if it's showing if it's showing that it has the potential of it's not like you copied from anybody, but just to be on the safe side. Thank you so much, Abel, for sharing. And then the next person to share with us is going to be Crystal Banfield. Crystal is going to be speaking about the choice of course of study. That's now speaking about selecting your universities and then the courses you're going to read. So Crystal, if you're in the call, okay, I can see you. Over to you.
Hi everyone, Crystal here. I am doing my MSc in Environment and Global Development at the University of East Anglia. So I think we're all 2024, 2025 scholars on the call. So yeah. So as Blessing said, I will be telling you guys about how to choose your course of study, your university along those lines. And this question is particularly critical for your Chevening essays because it tends to show the way that you're thinking, the things that are important to you in how you develop as a leader as well. So when you are trying to choose your three universities, I know there's a long list that you will find of Chevening partner universities on their webpage. What I had done was go through that list. I typed in some keywords. So for me, I'm doing environment. I typed in things like environment. I typed in things like sustainability. And I went through and I typed in development as well. So I went through everything that popped up on that list and I clicked every single one that seemed interesting to me. And I went through each of those universities in detail. Um, a lot of universities, they may not necessarily show you a lot of detail about their programs on their pages, at least during the period that you're trying to shortlist those unis for your achieving essays. That's fine. Trust me, you will have the opportunity to review those options too. I do recommend that instead of just shortlisting 3 universities, you shortlist at least 6. So if you don't get through with those first 3, you have 3 others that you're probably going to get an unconditional offer from. So the time you take to get your achieving offer, the time even to get your interview request, you will probably already have heard from at least 1 or 2 of those universities. If you're unsure about the others, they will give you the opportunity to change your university options. So try not to worry too much about it. Um, when you're choosing those courses, take some key things into consideration. Whatever courses you are choosing, they should be similar to one another. Do not choose one course about development and the next course about facial surgery. Just an example. You need to be sure about what it is that you want to do. So if you're interested in areas of the environment, your courses need to say something about environment or sustainability or any of those factors. If you're interested in education, your courses must say something about that. It should not be education and then one side you have religion or something else. They have to be in sync with each other. They have to show that you are certain about what it is that you want to do. That is one of the very first things whoever is reading your essays will pick up on. Your courses all need to be taught in-person courses and starting in September, lasting no more than a year. So ideally, it should be from September to September. And the last thing that I think genuinely comes across in your essays will be your passion for whatever you are selecting. For persons, when it comes to choosing your universities, oftentimes people put a lot of emphasis on the ranking, and they do that based on the global ranking. What you should know is that each university has a ranking in the different departments as well. So there are universities that might be ranked 200 and something globally. They could be ranked within the top 10 of the field that you're looking to study. So when you're trying to figure this out, check on websites like Times and QS Ranking. They will generally have the option for you to do the search to figure out which universities rank in what status for certain courses, certain departments. Another thing for you to examine is your modules. Each university is going to have a very different course outline. Make sure that as long as you can find those modules on that university, you consider them in detail, taking into consideration what are the core modules and the optional modules, how many optional modules, how many credits you need to complete the course. That will tell you about your workload, and it will also help you decide if that university is the right one for you based on the relevance of the work. Consider your lecturers as well. I remember when I was trying to figure out which university was going to be in my top 3. I had 4 top options. Which one was going to be my top 3? I had to carefully look at the lecturers to get an understanding of if that university had context of my country's situation. That was key for me. If they had context of things in the Caribbean, if they had context of things in Guyana, because you find many universities you have lecturers that focus mainly in the East or in various parts of Africa. And that presents a contextual difference with how things can be done in the Caribbean or in Latin America. So that was something that I needed to consider as well. Take those things into consideration. Lecturers often help you as you get to know them. They will help you make connections throughout your course study as well. So check to see what their backgrounds are. If there's one that particularly stands out to you, check to see if they're working in areas that you're interested in. Those things can be very important for how your thesis and your dissertation go if you're doing that, or if they're supporting you with getting a placement. So take those things into consideration. I know it's a lot. Trust me, you have some time. So even if you're selecting your top three now, you will still have the opportunity to review that later by the time that you get your interviews. So take it step by step. Um, Three things for me when writing my essays, or my essay on this topic in particular. How I structured it was by making sure that whoever that reader was, had a context of why this was something I was passionate about. So they knew the personal relevance to me. Then I made sure they had the understanding of my national and regional context. So they knew how it was relevant to my country and to Latin America and the Caribbean. And also so that they had an understanding as the final how Chevening was supporting me in getting where I was aspiring to go to. And those are the key things for your essays. Look at things, Chevening focuses heavily on things like cultural exchange. So when you are trying to pick where you're going, you can take into consideration things like the cost of living in a certain area. You can take into consideration things like the activities that are available in that area for you to explore and experience while you're here for your Chevening scholarship. So they're not focusing strictly on academics, at least in my experience. They want to see the individual as a rounded person, someone who's looking to gain an experience and truly experience as they're here, and then see how that person is going to take the things that they've experienced and learn back to their homelands. And that is it for me on this essay.
Thank you so much, Crystal. That was really a lot. And I love the fact that you were able to stress that people should do their research. Because, of course, you don't want to go to a university that you end up regretting and you'll be like, oh my God, why didn't I choose this other university? Now I'm saying that this other university have more structure to what I want to study, especially if your course is a very sensitive one. You would not want to end up in the wrong university. Thank you so much. I know when I was researching about, I think Dundee was my first course, I realized that the university itself was living a lifestyle of the course I wanted to read. So I'm doing, climate change, sustainability, and net zero. And yeah, it's like a net zero lifestyle. They haven't had an award for that. So they obviously may not be the best or the first or Oxford or Cambridge, but when it comes to net zero and being green, they were very good at it. And like Crystal said, you don't look at ranking as the first globally, second globally, like the Oxford and Cambridge. Yeah, you look at, especially if your course is case sensitive, you look at which university in the UK is very particular about that course, and they're going to offer, the right training method or modules that is going to equip you with, whatever experience that you have, because that is really important. You don't want to waste your Chevening journey. After 12 months, you cannot give feedback as to what you went to learn. That is really going to be, bad. So thank you so much, Christelle. And so for our last speaker for today, so get your questions ready. My colleagues are also here. So they are also going to be joining the panel. So after the last speaker, you see them pop up. So they're also going to assist in answering the question. And I think some of our alumni are equally in the call. So just get your questions ready. After the last speaker, will call you to ask your questions. Also, I shared the Telegram link on the group for those of you that are not on the Telegram group. And so there's more content about the Chevening scholarship application. If you want to learn more, if you have more questions to ask after the call, or you want to have access to this recording, do well to join the Telegram group. That's where you're going to find a network of fellow Cheveners or fellow aspirants, and you have the opportunity to ask all the questions that you have and get all the clarity that you need for the Chevening application. So do well to join the link. Okay, I'm going to reshare the link after this. So for our next speaker, we have Anne Njorego. I'm sorry, I murdered your name. Sorry about that. And she's my friend. She's at the University of Dundee. She's going to kill me. But so Anne is going to be speaking. So I call her only Anne. I've not really been calling her by her surname. So Anne is going to be speaking on the last essay, which is the career essay. Welcome so much, Anne, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Blessing. You should probably practice that second name after this. But hi, everyone. My name is Anne Njoroge. Let me just share my presentation.
Sorry,
yeah.
Anne, before you go
Yeah.
ahead, while you're sorting your slide. So I recall that I was supposed to share the Telegram group, and the link I copied did not work. So it was my LinkedIn. Sorry about that. I'm just seeing it now because I was trying to reshare it again, and I'm wondering what did I just say. So sorry, guys. Let me recopy the link again. So I'm sorry. You can go ahead.
No worries. So hi, everyone. My name is Anne Njoroge. So I'm a Chevening Scholar 2024-2025 from Kenya. And I'm currently pursuing a Master's of Law in LLM in the Law Carbon Just Transition at the University of Dundee. So I'm going to be going through the career plan essay. I would say that this is one of the most, it's easy and also like tough at the same time. Honestly, for me, it was like one of my toughest essays, but in retrospect, looking at it, it's an essay that gives you an opportunity to dream. And you know, like for instance, for the leadership, of course, you have to say what exactly you have done, be truthful and do all those things. But for the career plan essay, it's just being someone giving you like a plain paper and asking you to dream about what you want to do. And when you think about it that way, then it makes it a bit easier even to think about what exactly do you want to do. And at this point of this essay, and I know the other speakers have already spoken about having like a theme that is running across your essays. And so, for instance, for me, my essay was around energy access and energy equity. And so by this time, you have reiterated it over and over again, even when you're talking about your study in the UK, you've said you want to study this module so that you gain these skills. And so the career plan essay ties everything together. So it ties in the fact that you said you're a leader, and so it's an opportunity to show how you're going to take leadership and initiative after you have left the UK. And then secondly, you have been you're going to get access to so many connections, to so many networks while here in the UK. And you're also going to develop a relationship, of course, with the, with the Chevening Secretariat, with the FCDO and all these, all these networks that you will be exposed to. So it's also an opportunity to show that this is how I'm going to also take advantage of this network. And then also based on the skills that you have already gained in the university that you have chosen. So when you think about it that way, then it sort of like helps you structure the essay more and for you to be very specific. Because sometimes, like for me, when I did my first draft, I had like an idea of what I wanted to do. So I had a general idea that this is, the policies I want to influence and this is what I want to do. But it was so general that anyone could really write that. So it was an issue of thinking about now the specifics. So what problem do I want to solve in my field, and what roles or what organizations or what opportunities exist in nationally or within the region or globally for me to do these things. So thinking along those lines. And so for all the essays, personally, I would recommend that you do the body of your essay. So like, for instance, if it's leadership, you do like the examples and then do your introduction and conclusion afterwards, because the introduction is to set the scene for your essay. And it gives like a snapshot of, what to expect in this essay. So um I would say initially, like, my approach would be to think about, this is a broad thing that I want to do. So what are the opportunities that exist that I can actually take on once I come back to my home country, and how can that relate to maybe my short-term goals or my medium-term goals or my long-term goals? But just to go into like in that sort of like from introduction to the body of the essay, when you think about the introduction, you're trying to set the context of the problem that is in your field. So, for instance, in my case, perhaps there are, these projects are normally come, but even like marginalized communities do not have access to the grid, despite all this development that is actually happening within their area. So you've already like set the context of the problem. Then think around, what is the UK doing in your home country regarding this? And this should be something that should be at the back of your mind throughout your essay. And I'm going to show you with an example how you should think about the UK priorities throughout your essay. Because at the end of the day, for each essay, you're trying to demonstrate that the Chevening Scholarship will enable you achieve that thing. So if it's the career plan, you want to show that the Chevening Scholarship is actually going to help me achieve this career plan. Because if you write a career plan where there's no mention of the Chevening Scholarship, there is no mention of the FCDO, the UK priorities in your country, then the question is, then why do you really need this particular scholarship? So you have to constantly demonstrate that it is really important for you to get the Chevening Scholarship, because then it will enable you to achieve this and this goals. So how can you know the UK priorities in your field? So you can just type on Google FCDO and then your home country page. So like for me, it was FCDO Kenya. And for instance, if you click on this, the FCDO Kenya, so the link, it sort of gives you, and it might be the same or different. So you can just type FCDO your country, FCDO Nigeria, FCDO whatever country. And so then you look at, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, it's telling me it's paused. Okay. So when you come here to Kenya, you can see that there's like a summary of the top priorities that are here. And there's sometimes you look at maybe the top priorities and you're like, oh, they are so general, they're not specific to what I want to do. So you can look at what are the active programs that are here in Kenya. You can narrow down your search, just play around with all these tabs and look at, what they are doing. So you can see the programs that they are doing, when they are ending. So you don't want to be mentioning a project that ended like 10 years ago and you're saying you will support that project. It will show that you've not really done your research. So go through it and see what really relates to what you're doing. Then another way in which you can know the priorities is look at social media pages. So for instance, you will find like, for instance, on Instagram, you'll find there's the UK in Kenya, or on Facebook, UK in Kenya, UK in Nigeria. So when you look through that, you can see what they are doing. And actually the social media pages help you to get current information. So they will say, like, for instance, they are in this part of your country and they're launching this project, and you see it actually relates to what you're doing. So it's an opportunity to now go and search further about that project and know that. And then also in your introduction, it's an opportunity to set the theme of your career trajectory. So you've said that this is the problem that I have seen in my field, and this is what the UK is doing. And so I intend now in my career, I intend to, you know, do XYZ, influence this and this policy to ensure that there is equity and access to energy and things like that. So based on your particular problem that you have identified. because at the end of the day, you have to be constantly showing that this is the space that I want to be in, and that your theme is showing up throughout your essays. Now up to this career plan essay. The other thing I would say, no, we have talked about the STAR approach, but for the career plan essay, I would recommend to have a SMART approach because it's a goal. And I know we have had this time and time again, a goal that is specific, that is measurable, that's achievable, that's realistic and time bound. So it has to be very specific. So you can't come and say that, for instance, that I want to just looking for like a general, like I want to work with people who do not have access to this and this and this and do, and it's very general that I can't really tell. So what exactly are you going to do? What is the exact impact that you want to achieve? So it's important for you to be very specific. And one of the greatest advice that I got, especially for this career plan essay, was, for instance, if you want to work in a specific organization, don't say I want to in the medium term I want to work with an organization that does XYZ and all that. That's great, but it would even be greater for you to even mention a specific organization and say, I want to work in this organization and I want to hold this role. If, like, in the long term, say I want to work, for instance, with the UNDP and I want to be maybe a regional what. So it's very specific. It shows that you really know what you want to do. But also at the same time, it has to be realistic. So throughout your leadership examples, the reader can tell where you are at, perhaps even professionally, and also you feel like your career information in the application form. So you can't come and in the short term, you say, for instance, in the short term, I want to be the cabinet secretary, because the short term means immediately after you go back to your home country. So then it has to be very realistic, and then there has to be a progression. So when you talk about the short term and then the medium term, it's like they're feeding into each other and it makes sense. So it could be maybe in the short term, you're going to do something within the area that you live in, or maybe already you are doing work nationally. So maybe you're going to do that work, but maybe scale to this level because now you have access to the Chevening community, to all these networks. You have honed your leadership skills. So you could talk about that, and maybe subsequently you could say, oh, now I will get like an African regional role. Then maybe in the long term I want to do this, but also you have to tie it back to the problem that you have identified in your country. And I've talked about this, having multiple references to the Chevening community and the network. And I'm going to show you in the examples how you can do that. And so it's important to do that because then if you're not mentioning them, then it shows that, this career plan can actually be achieved with or without Chevening. And then also demonstrating the UK priorities throughout the essay. So I've talked about knowing the specific roles in the space. So sometimes, and I found myself in this situation where I know what I want to do, but I wasn't able to articulate the specific spaces where I could actually do this. And especially in the long term. So it felt, when you would read it, it looked very abstract. And so what really helped me was thinking about what are some of the organizations that are doing this kind of work, and then going through their website and seeing, oh, but they don't have XYZ. And so then perhaps I can, if I get into this space, then it means that I can do XYZ to improve what is happening in that space. So for instance, you want to start a particular, maybe an organization and all that, you can look at similar organizations that are doing that work and look at their website, go on LinkedIn. Like I went on LinkedIn, searched people who are in this space, what were they doing, what, if I was eyeing specific roles, like what is the kind of work they do, and trying to see how I can articulate that in my medium term and my long term, if that is what you want to do. So I love the career plan essay because it's such a reflective process of thinking about what do I want to do with this master's degree that I get, and then also at the same time, how do I envision the trajectory of my career. So I'll quickly go to like just an excerpt of my essay. Of course, I've redacted quite a bit of information, but so this the first one is like in my medium term. So I would like to work as a senior renewable energy manager at XXX, and then in collaboration with these people, I will seek to do. So you go specific. What is it that you want to accomplish there? So don't be general, don't be vague, so that it looks like you know exactly the change that you want to bring there, because you already know that there's this gap that is there in that context. And then you talk about the partnerships and collaborations, because you will have access to the Chevening alumni network, the lecturers in universities, the students will meet across the world in university. So think about how are you going to not take advantage, but really like leverage on those relationships, because you have already shown that you have very strong professional relationship building skills, and use them to do something great. So I talked about even the FCDO, because then by being a Chevening scholar, there is an access to the FCDO. There's also access to the Chevening Secretariat, and the members of the High Commission, the British High Commission in your country. So thinking about, are there partnerships that you think that you can foster, because you will be in this position of influence and power in your country. So are you going to foster partnerships with them? And then, so you can search what are some of the departments that are in your country, UK departments that do work with your country. Where are they at with collab? So for instance, if you want to work with the ministry, so what kind of collaborations are they doing currently? How can you add to that? So you also need to do like a lot of research on that. So you can look at, do they offer certain funding to organizations? So maybe you want to start up an organization or scale up your organization. So thinking about what are some of the things that already they are doing and that you can, sort of like leverage on. And so foster partnerships with the FCD and the UK's Department for Energy Security and Net Zero to support the implementation of the projects through the provision of finances and technical expertise. Then through the Chevening alumni network, I will initiate cross-learning between, and I went on and on to the exact things that I wanted to do. And then also throughout my essay, so this is just an excerpt of one of my essays, was talking about the FCDO top priorities in Kenya, which was to ensure no one is left behind in development process. And then so I talked about seeking to collaborate with FCDO to seek funding that I had seen. So when you go to that website, you will see the kind of funding they are giving to organizations. You'll see certain projects that they are doing. So see how that really connects with your career, and mention those things. And don't overdo it. Don't force it where it doesn't work. So you don't have to be for it to really dominate in your essay too much, but also let it also like show up in your essay. And then in conclusion, then tie back to the Chevening scholarship. Show that you've demonstrated that the Chevening scholarship will enable you to study in the UK, it will enable you access these networks, and it will enable you to actually do these things that you want to do. So the conclusion always ties back to the Chevening scholarship in relation to the essay that you're writing in, and you like restate again what you want to do in the field in a short summary form. And then if it's relevant to your course, you can always tie back to the sustainable development goals, but it's not a must, but you can always do that. It's a great add-on. So yeah, that's it from me. I hope this was helpful, and yeah, those are my contact details and my socials, in case you would want to speak further. So yeah, thank you, and thank you, Blessing, for organizing this.
Thank you so much, Anne. Thank you for taking your time to, bring out all the points and share the necessary information involved. I understand that, people would have taken notes. And I love the fact that you mentioned that the career essay, it gives you an opportunity for you to dream and become you. And actually, that's true. So Chevening just gives you that opportunity, for you to explore, your passions, what you want to do, what kind of problems you want to solve. And I know you had mentioned something about SMART. I think it's really important that we put that into context, because I could recall in my career essay, I had written in the long term that I was going to reach 50,000 women by 2030 with the project that I was working on. And that thing really, it came back to me during my interview, because one of the panelists was really hitting on that and was like, 50,000 women. You mean you reach 50,000 women? And in my mind, I'm like, I was just being over ambitious. I didn't, I didn't mean it, but it will bring about probing and more questions. And obviously, if you are not able to defend yourself during the interview, they may think that you're not being genuine or you're lying and you do not have a clear career path. So he had even asked oh, so what if you don't get the scholarship? Are you still intending to reach 50,000 women? And I said, yes. Okay, I didn't say yes. I said, well, the scholarship would have helped me to reach 50,000. But now that if I don't get the scholarship, I will still try to reach a good number. I just had to defend myself. I knew I had shot myself on the leg for, so just so that you don't attract those kind of probe or those kind of follow-up questions, try to keep your achievements as specific and achievable as possible, so you don't have issues with the panelists trying to ask you questions as to how do you intend to achieve this. And another thing I may like to add is you also can see how your work or whatever it is, it's not compulsory though, but if it's necessary, you see how your work can strengthen the ties between the UK and your country. I mean, I think it's going to be an added point because I had to do extra research as to what the UK is doing that my country is also involved in. I think I had mentioned something about the UK being a founding member of a particular intergovernmental network when Nigeria is just starting. And then the scholarship is going to help me build that network that is going to help me, advise decision makers on how Nigeria can come up to speed. And my study in the UK is going to help me, learn the UK strategies and approach. I think I was speaking about plastic waste, not to addressing plastics, because I would like my country to adopt that. So you can add something about how your studying in the UK is going to help you build strategies that's going to help strengthen the ties between your country and the UK. That can be an added point too. And then I have a question, maybe Anne, you could answer it, concerning the what FCDO is doing in your country. I understand that this year Chevening was passed from FCDO to the British Council. So I don't know if the that particular essay is still talking about what the FCD is doing in your country or what the British Council is doing in your country. So maybe you could help check and then help us clarify it. Because during our time it was the FCD, but I know this year they changed it to the British Council. So we were just sure if it's the British Council, is still fine. The British Council have done so much in Nigeria, and I think I've been part of some of their projects, so you are still not left out. But Anne, you just help us clarify if it's still the FCDO that we're going to be linking, or we're linking with the British Council. Thank you.
Yeah, I think if it move to the British Council, then find out what British Council is doing in your country. Because I remember the years before it was DFID, FCDO, previously it was DFID and then it changed to FCDO. So in our year, you wouldn't mention a DFID because that has transitioned to FCDO. So then if it's like the British Council, also find out what it is doing. But also you can look at, because like there are certain strategies that or certain plans that are between your country and the UK that are still continuing, that has already been initiated. So perhaps they are going until 2050 or 2040. So once you're already back, so I think it doesn't hurt to also mention that if it is relevant to what you want to do.
Okay, thank you so much. And I want to use this opportunity to thank all our speakers for taking our time to share their thoughts and experience in today's webinar. It's really a busy period for us here in the UK, and for you to have sacrifice your time, it really means a lot. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to open the floor for questions, but before then, I would like to call on my co-coordinators for this webinar. They have been behind the curtain, trying to, put things right and making sure that everything is going on well. I'm not the only facilitator on this call. It's just my face you're seeing. So you will see their faces now. So I'll just call on Janet and Lucy to join us. So we're all going to be moderating, and we'll also join the panelists to be answering questions while we're able to take as much questions as we can. Okay, but so that we don't sleep here today, because I understand the participant can ask plenty questions. I think we'll just set sail at how many questions should we take? So I think I'll just throw these two. Hi, Janet, how many questions can we take?
We can take as much questions. Depend, but I'm just bothered about our guests because you guys have been here for quite a
Yes, so let's peg it at say 10. Is that too much? It depends. So
Let's
short
keep the
questions, straight
questions
to the
coming.
point.
We would be able to answer some questions in the comments. Then people who want to raise their hands will be answering that live while we answer others on the chat.
Okay, thank you. So we have Henry. So if you want to ask your questions, you just raise your hands up and then I'm going to call you after. So Henry, you unmute and then ask your question. Please make it as brief as possible. Just hit the nail on the head and, someone will give you the answer you're requiring. Thank you so much. Yeah, Henry, if you're on the call, you can unmute.
What is webinar? It has really given me tips on how to do my application. Once again I want to thank each and every one of you. So my question is on what the white lady talked about. I saw how she structured her essay. So I want to know, can I structure mine like that? She used different font colors. So is it wise for me to do my own like that? There was solution. She used what fonts, blue color. Why the tag? She used something like red, and the actions she used another color. So is it proper for me to type my own like that, or should it be in black font? Or so I just want to get more clarification on that, please.
Okay, Henry, I got your question. I think she had done that for just to describe how she wrote that essay, but I'll allow Aya to speak for herself. Aya is on the call. Trying to see, yes, she's on the call. So let her just defend what she wrote because I think it's just for display. Aya, just quickly respond to that, please. Aya, you're on the
It's
call.
fine if Aya cannot go now. I just hope she's fine where she is. But let me help. Blessing, can I go ahead?
Yes, sure, you
All right,
can.
so you're just writing in a document, but then you are uploading to Chevening portal. So when you are uploading, you are not uploading as a document, you are copying and pasting. So even if you do any color, at the end of the day, when you paste on Chevening portal to submit, everything is still going to be black. So what Aya was trying to do is she was trying to show you guys how the star approach is. So I think she used green to show you situation. She used red to show you task, action, and what your result is. So that was why she used the colorings to explain. But what's most important is that you write your essays in a separate document, allow people review, go over your essays over and over again, and be satisfied before you finally copy and paste on the Chevening portal. I hope I have answered your question.
Okay, thank you so much, Janet. Arinze, you are next. So kindly unmute and ask your question.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. So the thing is, I just started a program, like an initiative in my hometown. I started it about a month ago. So I don't know if it can like be useful for my leadership essay, or should I just exclude it from it? Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks, Arinze. Who wants to answer that question? Is any of the speakers willing to answer that?
Yeah, Blessing, I think I can go.
Okay.
I didn't know the name of the person that asked the question. However, that depends. I actually would need a bit of information about your initiative. You said you started it a month ago. However, what stage is it now? What prompted you to start the project or the initiative? And also, do you have other examples that you can use in your essay and then just use it to kind of bring that aspect of, I've also started this and I plan to work on it upon returning? So think about quite a number of things, but I would advise you first look at other examples that you already that you have, other experiences that you have. Can you use them instead of it? And then if you definitely can, if you don't have any other, then it depends on how you're able to craft it. When you're giving the leadership example, it's very important to spend enough time analyzing the situation. What's the challenge you're trying to solve? What's the extent of the challenge? Give statistics and, yeah, you can find a of, but try to answer those questions and see how you come around with it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abel. And Arinze, yeah, so if your initiative was able to bring out results as at last month, maybe you did a conference or you held you know maybe a community outreach that brought about a good outcome, like you had more participants or people were now informed. So you just remember your leadership essay is that you can share that as one of your leadership is examples. So long there was an outcome and how you were able to put in your leadership skills to bring about that outcome. So I hope that also answers your question. So the next person is Asus. So Asus, you can unmute and then ask yours.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, Awa. I'm so thankful for this inspiration meeting. I'm Hasti and I'm from Iran. My question is, the UK has no political relationship with Iran. So how should I write that I want to be useful for Chevening in the future for my career plan? So thankful.
Okay, so any of our speakers wants to answer that?
I can go for that one if you'd like. I know you said that, I don't know if the camera's on yet, sorry. I know you said that the UK currently has no political relations with your country. I think that in itself is an opportunity for you in your career goals as a tutor. You are tasked with championing that relationship and fostering that relationship between your country and the UK. So you then have the opportunity of promoting the relationship between your country and the UK. It doesn't matter how small you start. It's the fact that you're making the start and you're making the effort that will go a long way over time. So I think in that itself, you have an opportunity. But you can also look at the context of your nation and the areas that the UK tends to focus on in their diplomatic relations around the world. Um, there's a heavy focus on women empowerment, heavy focus on climate change and the environment, health, education, child safety and security. Those are areas of extreme focus for the UK. So if you can match certain areas that the UK is focusing on with areas in your country that need improvement, those are also opportunities for you to help foster that relationship.
Thanks,
Thank you so much, Krista. Okay, Fatima, you can unmute and ask your question.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, thank you for this insightful program. My question is regards to the mindset that Camila talked about. Actually, I have some experiences in baking, production, and teaching. So I intend to study nutrition in my study in the UK. So the issue is I don't know if I have enough experience because I've not volunteered in nutrition and I have not initiated any or I've not participated in any initiative regards nutrition. So I don't know if I can still use my experiences as regards my course of study. Thank you.
Okay, I think Pamela, since your name was called, if you're still on the call, maybe you may want to answer that. Else any other speaker can actually step in and then provide an answer to the question. Okay, I think Pamela is not on the call. Someone else can actually answer. Yeah.
I think I can attempt to answer. I would say if truly like you don't have any experience, like leadership experience in the nutrition field, it's still okay to cite these other examples. To demonstrate that you are a leader and you have these leadership skills in you. But I think it would really be also you should really be keen in your study in the UK essay to sort of look at what is the problem that you have identified that you want to solve. And also, I think also it's an opportunity to speak about what you did, what you have done previously, and then why you want to pivot to nutrition. And you have to make a really good case for that so that it really shows that you have a very strong reason why you want to go to nutrition despite not having previous professional experience in nutrition. It might be difficult, but it's doable. I know of a Shivna who was a banker and wanted to go and do something in agriculture, but he really had to demonstrate why he wants to make that jump, especially in the study in the UK essay. So it might be a bit tricky, but I don't think it's completely impossible.
Okay, thank you so much, Anne.
Thank you.
And then also I would like to add that if you said you do baking and pastries and all of that, so if in the process of doing that you had worked with a team and you had the opportunity to lead, so when we're talking about leadership, we're not talking about something that has to be big. It has to be a process where you seize the opportunity to be able to address a problem, leading a group of people, or address a situation. So you could look within your workspace as to saying, oh, you found out that, I mean, you don't have to lie now based on what you have done. Maybe you may have baked or done something to solve a particular problem about hunger, maybe in a particular community. That's something, and that's leadership. So leadership does not have to be I was in the office, I had my team, I had my staff. So you see, that's why Chevening does not want to define leadership for you. Because if they define leadership for you, they will constrict you to a particular space, and they don't want to do that. That's why they want you to define your own leadership. So it's an opportunity for you to be leadership, to be a leader based on how you define it. So it's also an opportunity for you to look within yourself and within your space to see the problem you've been able to solve, and then use that as your leadership strategy. So that is one research you have to do. So I hope that also adds to what Anne has said. Vivian, you can unmute and ask.
Okay, thank you very much for the insightful section. My question is about the interview process. So while we've learned how to go about with the essay and everything, what should we expect if one gets to make it to the interview stage? Are you going to be asked questions as to how to defend your essay? What exactly is the expectation? And I also wanted to ask regarding the application process to getting an unconditional offer from the schools that you would select. So I know that to get an unconditional offer is not so easy like that. So how do we go about? Do we also declare it at the application process that, oh, we are applying for this particular scholarship? Yeah, that's basically my question.
Okay, so who wants to answer that?
I can go, Blessing.
Okay, thank you.
So for the question about if you declare that you're applying for a scholarship, then yes, in my experience, most of the universities I was applying to did ask how you were financing your studies. And in that case, I was able to put scholarship and let them know which scholarship. When it comes to applying, there are different standards for different universities. So you securing the unconditional offer from your university is up to you. I would say if you have an idea of which universities you want to apply to, I would go ahead and check those universities now to see if they've opened the applications. They usually do around the end of October or November in my experience with the ones I apply to. So you can apply, you can check to see when they'll open those applications and apply as soon as possible. It also I think it does help a bit if you're in your interview and you're able to mention that you've applied and you've received unconditional offers or conditional offers from such and such university already. It takes a lot of load off of you if you've done so from the inception. Um, so you can do that, and you tend to get back your responses fairly quickly in my experience. There's some universities, like University of Edinburgh, that might take a bit of time, but they do let you know on their page when they are going to start releasing the results of the applications. So yeah, you can start checking now and into October. Those are usually the times when they'll open the application portals. There is a list as well online you can use to check which universities require IELTS. Um, that is the English qualification. So yeah, you can check those as well to see which universities might be a bit easier for you to get the unconditional offer from, or which you would have the extra step of having your IELTS as well.
Thank you so much. I guess that answered your question. So Uche Chuku, you're next. You can unmute and ask your question.
Okay, good evening.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, we can
Okay,
hear you.
okay. I'm having, well, I say a bit of challenge or what. I started this application last month, 20th. I filled every other part on the AC part. I actually studied computer science and national diploma and direct entry, 3 years. I graduated 2019, started computer science. So I've worked in the bank as an IT support. Recently, I just finished my Coursera certificate for data analytics. I'm actually into data analysis now. But I'm pivoting to data science. That's what the course I've chosen for the 3 schools. I've gotten, I think, one conditional offer and one unconditional offer from those schools, from one of the 3 schools. So my question is, I've tried to follow through the dev tracker, and I'm not seeing anything that the UK or FCDO is doing in Nigeria that is related, that is in line with data science. But on the long run, so I want to ask, because I know data science has applications in climate change and other stuff. So I'm having a little bit of challenge how to bring it together in my essay, mostly for the study in the UK essay. So that's my question, how I can link them together. If there's any pointer that you can give me or other scholars can give me on how to bring in my intending skill, because I'm currently data analyst, I'm pivoting to data science. I'm started learning on myself, doing some Python work and other stuff on myself by myself. So I want to pivot into data science. So I want to see how I can also incorporate it in my current place of maybe upon return. I do the analysis. I work as a department manager, sundry market, that's market school. So we'll analyze sales trend, customer buying pattern, and a lot of analysis we do to bring in our goals and also to plan for programs and whatever we need to do. So my question is just how I can relate it to the activities of the FDO or the UK in Nigeria. I'm seeing one that they are doing under something active industry under SDG. Is it 9 or 6 about industry and innovation also. So I'm just looking at how I can bring it together for the study in the UK plan. I think I've done the other 3 essays, but they are still under review. I'm giving persons to review.
Okay, Uche Chuku, although the most part of your this thing is low, but I think I got the question. Maybe I can also attempt that myself. Your question was how to link your work as a data analyst with what the FCTO is doing in Nigeria. Yeah, in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think the first things first is so when you're going to study under Chevening, you're not just going to study a course, you're trying to explain how your course is going to help solve a problem, right? Because you're
Yeah.
going to be telling them how if you come back, that course that you're going to study, you're going to use that knowledge and experience to be able to bridge a gap, by solving a problem. So that problem that you're going to solve, is what you're going to use to link with the FCDU, not necessarily the course you're reading. Like now, I cannot say I'm doing MSc sustainability, climate change, and transition to net zero. I cannot say I'm checking what the FCDU is doing about sustainability. I mean, even if I'm going to find or I'm checking off what the FCDU is doing about climate change, but rather my long run for the reason why I'm taking that course is because I want to help some group of people address something around maybe I want to empower women, and I want to help build their livelihood. Now you see where my end game is. The end game is not the course that I'm reading. My end game is that this course is going to equip me to be able to profile that solution. So it is that solution that I'm profiling now that I'm going to now link with what the FCDO is doing. That is, if it's the FCDO or the British Council. So you now say, so this is also in line with what the FCDO is doing, because they are also working probably to empower communities and so under social and so projects. So you are not looking for what the FCDO is doing under data analysis. As a data analyst, what kind of societal problem are you trying to solve with your skills? What kind of change are you trying to see? Or what kind of gap are you trying to bring? It's very important that you have that answer, because that is what is going to form the framework of your entire essay, from leadership, networking, choice, course of study, and career goals. Your course or what you're going to read is just like flesh. It's just like skin. Let me say skin, but the real flesh is what that course is going to help you become, or what is going to the problem is going to help you solve. So that's the angle you're supposed to be looking at, not the course itself. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it did. Thank you. God bless you.
Okay, Charity, you're next, so you can unmute and then ask.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, thank you very much for this interesting session. Okay, my question is for someone who has a little experience, just a short experience in one of the team areas, like I have experience working in a health facility for as in data abstraction on people living with HIV. And thereafter, I picked interest in data analysis. And I've been on a program, 1-year program, which I got on scholarship in Nigeria here, online program. So now I have interest in this Chevening. And though I have experience in my core area, administration, but not so much on this data analysis, which I have interest in the health aspect of it, data science for health. So do you think I stand the chances? I don't have so much experience in terms of actual work with my data analysis skill. I don't know if you got my question.
Okay, I don't know if any of our speakers is willing to provide answer to that, to Charity's question. Does anyone want to provide an answer to that?
Yeah, hi, Charity. Yes, it's possible. I think someone else asked a similar question. It's possible for someone to change fields and win the Chevening scholarship. You just have to convince the reader that I'm I'm switching fields, and this is the reason why. I have experience in this field, but I saw a gap in this field. Like in your example, you're saying you've worked with a project on HIV data and stuff like that, and then you picked an interest in data science. So the question is, what made you pick that interest? You know, look deeper into the actual reason why you picked that interest. That's what will give you your story, and that's what you write in your essays. And then it's you just have to convince the committee why you want to choose to change fields from what you've been doing to a new field. I think someone else had asked such a question before.
Okay, thanks, Abel. And also to add, the thing about Chevening essays is storytelling. So you have to be very good in your crafting or drafting, telling your story. You may have worked in a different line, and it's still associated with public health. So if you ask me, I don't think it's aligned. So you could say you were working with under this health field. Maybe you were doing something around community health and all of that, and then during your service or your work, you realize that there was help, like Abel
Yeah,
mentioned.
kind of work.
Please.
Okay. That part. Okay.
Henry, can you mute, please?
Stand there.
Henry, can you mute yourself, please? Yeah, so you can now state that, okay, during your work in so and so health field, you realize that there was need for health data to help, bridge a particular gap in the health sector. And because of that, you took special interest in data analysis, because that data analysis is going to help you become, a more informed health practitioner, or you're going to help train some health practitioners on how to understand or use data to be able to solve health problems. That is a link. These are two different things, but that is a link. So that's why I say everything, like Abel mentioned, is about storytelling. There's definitely something in the other profession you were pursuing, and something in this profession you were pursuing that has a link. Use that as a connecting link, and then tell your story of how this inspired you to go for that. And then in that way, you're fine.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay, I think that's all the questions for today. This is 6 minutes past 8. I think I don't know if there are any other questions, because maybe we can call it a day. So thank you so much, everyone. I want to especially use this opportunity to thank the speakers and also thank the coordinators of this webinar. It was really fun coordinating this with you, Janet and Lucy, and I want to thank all the speakers that came out today. Thank you for volunteering your time to share your knowledge and wealth of experience. And for the participants, thank you for joining too, because if you were not here, we'll definitely not be having this session. And from our heart of hearts, we look forward to seeing you join the network, the Chevening Alumni Network. Okay, Janet, want to say something? Okay.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Janet.
all the while that we were talking, I've been trying to respond to lots of questions we have in the chat. But I tried my best, but there are still lots of questions that have not been answered. So my people, first off, let me say thank you to all our facilitators. I made blessing, I give it up to you. Like, they did excellently well. They came with their slides. I'm like, wow, that's beautiful. When did they have the time to put it together? Thank you to all our facilitators that came in. But a few questions I'm seeing here, these are questions that you can get online, right? So we're not supposed to be spoon feeding you. We're just supposed to guide you to actually ensure that you get selected for interview. Somebody is asking, do I need international passport? Of course, you need an international passport to apply. So if any of us on the call who does not have an international passport, please get it now. Blessing, I think they would have to put it at the point of application, yeah? I think they would ask for your passport number, I think. If I remember.
If I can still remember, I think it's kind of like for that particular point, they'll ask you if you have an international passport. Maybe when you say
But
yes,
they won't ask you for
they'll
the
ask for the
number,
number then. But if you say no, I think there's a portion later on in your application that you may have to provide it. I'm not sure, but I think that's what it is. But still, it's best they have it for safety purpose.
Yes, and you guys still have like a month before, less than a month before submission. And I remember before I came to the UK, my passport was going to expire, so I renewed it, and it was ready in like less than a week, like 3 days. So if you have the money, try and look for the money. Don't allow passport limit you from getting this opportunity. So if you have the money, if you don't have, go and borrow. I mean, this is a life. I tell people a lot, Chevening is a life changer. Imagine somebody is giving you almost 100 million. For those of you that are in Nigeria, convert the money. Somebody is spending almost 100 million on you. Almost, you have to give in everything you have to ensure that you get in. And the competition is getting tougher and tougher by the year. Right? So you have to give in your best by all means. If you don't have money, look for somebody to give you money. Get your international passport ready. So that will not now be an excuse for you. Get your international passport ready. Somebody is also asking that can an undergraduate is there a chance of one who just completed an undergrad? Yeah, if you've completed your undergraduate studies and you feel like you have enough work experience, of course you can apply. But then we usually advise that you give it time, maybe like a year, to actually build your skills more, build yourself more, build your stories more, so that you can have a solid story to present to Chevening. Because for me, I got to know about Chevening around 2019. I was just graduating from uni then, but I still needed to build myself so that I don't like rejection, and I don't want any of you to get that rejection email, So instead of just writing anyhow, just be sure that you are giving it your best shot even before applying. Chevening will always be there. So take your time if you have to. Another issue is that sometimes your transcripts might not be ready. So what if you get invited for Chevening interview and at the end of the day your school is refusing to give you transcript? So you might want to give it time. But if you feel you'll be able to scale through all of that, you can go ahead. Somebody is still asking about AI. Does AI know your story? Was AI there when you were doing your leadership? You guys don't be lazy, please. Don't be lazy. Write your stories. See, you can just pour out your mind in writing. Pour out your mind in writing. You might not get the whole full picture yet, but go back. This recording will be sent on the Telegram group. In case you are not on the Telegram group, I think Blessing posted the link, or we might have to post the link again so you can join the Telegram group now. Somebody's also asking about IELTS. We'll send you a list of schools that do not require you to have IELTS. For example, University of Sussex, where I'm studying at, they don't require you to have your IELTS when you are applying. Yes, Blessing just posted it. Blessing just posted the link to the Telegram group. Please, all of us should join. This recording will be sent there, and many other recordings of the sessions that we've had in the past. Just dedicate these next 2 weeks to giving your all to putting your essays together. I tell you, you'll be glad you did at the end of the day. So thank you once again, everybody. If there are any of your questions that we weren't able to answer on this call, myself, Blessing, and Lucy will be on the Telegram group waiting to answer all your questions. So thank you once again for joining. And usually before we end, we usually say one person or two persons should come up to say thank you to us, because we are really sacrificing our time to be here for you. And I think we've been on this call since like 6, and this is almost 2 to 3 hours after. Henry's hand is already off. So anybody, 2 people, a guy and a lady, should say thank you to our facilitators for doing this for you.
Hello,
Many,
thank you, Janet. Thank you, Blessing. Thank you from the facilitator from Uganda and other parts of the world. I'm so much grateful. And I look forward to joining the Chevening alumni by next year. Thank you very much.
Well, we are rooting for you. We are rooting. Fatima wants to say thank you to our facilitators.
Thank you to all the facilitators. We really appreciate you. It was an insightful section and we really gained a lot. Thank you very much.
We are glad you did. Love it. You want to say thank you to us?
Yes, yes. Thank you so, so much for hosting this session. I mean, I was lost before I joined in. I did not know how to, start researching for my unis, how to write the various essays. I mean, with the tips I've gotten, I know that what I have in my draft is actually trash. And I'll have to go back to like the writing again. So yeah.
At the same thing, do me. Are they going to write my leadership essay this night or through tomorrow?
Thank you guys, join. You
Yes,
see?
Yeah,
thank
take care.
you
Take care, everybody.
so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye-bye.
I'll
Thank
just
you,
answer back to
guys.
Blessing.
Thank you so much. So let me leave you with these parting words. I use it a lot, and it really helps me. So this is how you do is when you write your essay, it's that that period, that moment to be like, wow, oh my God, could this be me? Just allow it, go and sleep, because your brain is overexcited. Wake up the next morning, wash your face and look at that essay. You'll see plenty nonsense. Because at this point now, you are not writing, you are proofreading like somebody's work. Do you understand? So it's easy for you to see the errors. Deal with those errors, go back to sleep, wake up the next day, look at the essay. You see that every single day there is something to improve. And if you're able to do that 5 times, you'll see that you're able to build a very strong essay. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining the call. Thank you once again, Janet. Thank you to all our speakers. We are truly grateful. And then If you have joined the Telegram group, you will definitely get the recording of this call. And for every other unanswered questions, we'll crash it there at the Telegram group. Thank you once again for joining the call. Do have a wonderful day or night rest, depending on which time zone that you're in. Bye, everyone.
Yeah, bye. Thank you.
Bye.